Hey, this is Bunny. Today we're going to be painting an Elven Stained Glass. And while I have a few ideas of what I might want to do with it, I don't really know. I haven't really made that decision. I do have a loose bristle here. Let's pull that off. Every once in a while you'll get a loose bristle. Like this brush is pretty beat up. But that is okay. So this is clear glass again. So this is a clear plastic. Sorry, it's not glass, it's plastic. But it's clear plastic. And when you're painting on clear, you can't use your standard primers, okay? Because your standard primers typically are either black or white. Now, if you don't want the clear to show up, then you're fine, right? If you don't want the clear to show up, you are okay. But I do want the clear to show up because I actually like the clear plastic. So you can't prime it, or at least you can't prime it with your traditional primers, your blacks and your whites. So see if you can find a clear primer, and that clear primer, you can take a brush and prime the areas you're going to paint. Now, I am not going to paint all of this area, okay? And it's only going to take a couple minutes per pass because I'm going to leave a lot of this empty, right? We don't really need to worry too much about it. Like, I'm not painting all the middle of that glass. I am going to use a wash to kind of bring out the detail on that glass, but I'm not going to do much in terms of actually painting on the glass itself. I am going to do, I did a sun gate last week, and I kind of want it to match the sun gate a little bit, just a little, right? So I am going to use some gold on the rimming, on the edging of that. Oh, I don't like where I just painted there. Do not like that. I went where I didn't want to go. There we go. If you wipe off your paint fast, you're normally okay. But it can be hard to see what you're trying to paint because there's not a lot of contrast. It's another reason you tend to prime your plastics in a black or a white. It allows you to see what you're doing a little bit better. So I'm going to go along the bottom here. It's harder to see because it's all clear plastic and annoying. So it's hard to tell where you want to paint without getting paint where you don't want it. So these can be a little bit annoying because of that, but I mean, it's workable. And I want to preserve the clear look for the window. If you don't, that's fine. Like, you could prime it with a white or a black or a gray or whatever primer you typically like to use. I'm just looking where I want to. Where do I want this stone to go? Because it's kind of ambiguous where the stone is, you can kind of decide for yourself. Like, it has ridges, but they're not well defined, so you can kind of go up higher if you want. And you are better off working with smaller amounts of paint and kind of getting in there. This is still stone-like. I'm using my fingers to kind of feel where the stone's ridging are. Like, that's pretty thin there, so we're kind of just using my finger to find out what is stone and what isn't, right? Because you can kind of, it's hard to tell otherwise. It helps once you get one side done because it is translucent, So you can kind of almost mimic, even though the mimicking won't be perfect because it's not exact on either side, but you can still try. It's just dicier because you don't really know where everything is going to be. Okay, we're gonna go in there because that's kind of a lump. We're assuming lumps are rocks. That's what we're doing. Lumps are rocks. See if I have any more lumps on this side. Lumps are rocks. If it's lumpy, it's a rock. Alright, we're gonna call that good. Yeah, we're gonna call that good. And we're gonna let that dry completely, which will take a couple of hours. Again, these don't take long to paint. Your biggest problem is actually going to be when you're trying to figure out where to paint because it's clear plastic. So give yourself some grace, take your time, let everything dry thoroughly in between. We'll be back. Okay, that's good and dry. Now we're going to start, we're just going to stay on one side at a time, and we're just going to get these raised areas. I'm going over a lot of these in green. I'm going to go over quite a few of these in green. But right now, I want to get the gold on. I don't want to do too many colors because I want the stained glass to kind of do its thing. Like there are raised areas that I'm going to do green on, but I want the stained glass to stand out. So we are going to carefully paint the gold so we don't do too much stained glass nonsense. We don't want to get too much on the stained glass. Like we want to get on there, but we don't want to go crazy. We do want to get this side. Want to get this side, and I think unlike the sun gate from last week, I think I'm going to do these tendrils in the gold. I'm just going to go with gold for the tendrils. I think that's the plan here. I don't want too many colors because this is more stained glass than the sun gate from last week. The sun gate didn't actually have that much. There was more that wasn't stained glass than was. But this time around, this is quite a lot of stained glass. So I want to focus on that. Have a tendril there. Okay, we're good. If you ever have like a little lash basically come off your brush, which is just a bristle from your brush, but grab it right away. Okay, grab it right away so you don't destroy what you've done. Okay, there we go. And then we'll go over some of these again, spots where it's too thin. It's hard to tell sometimes what your coverage is like on clear plastic because it's hard to see. Honestly, it's hard to see the definition sometimes. It's hard to see what your coverage looks like, especially on the first side where you're like, is that supposed to be clear? It can be annoying. There we go. There we go. Pull that. We're not going to worry about that edge because I'm going to do that edge from the other side when I flip it. It'll just be easier. I'm not going to worry too much about that edge. I'm worrying more about this edge. So I'm doing this edge. That edge I'll worry about when I flip it over. Okay. Let's just draw these little guys. We are going to put a sepia wash on it after. And we're just going to do these guys. So they look glittery. The thing I like about using gold is it's so glittery after it dries. We'll see how much gold we have to add back on. And then that, this I'm just going to dab the gold on it so I can see it. Because it can be kind of hard to see. But this is going to be green, I think. We'll see. We'll decide. I'll paint it gold. I'll actually paint it gold. Okay. Actually, let me hit these with gold just in case. I'm not sure I'm going to come back with green. I haven't decided. I'm doing this kind of off the cuff. I don't have a real reason for anything. This is going to be a piece in one of the campaigns we're going to be playing, but that doesn't mean much. I don't know how much coverage I want either. I think I'll let those dry and then decide if I want more coverage than I'm doing now, because I'm not 100% sure how much coverage I want, how much of the translucent I want to come out. So we're going to let that dry, and then we will come back and decide how much of that I want to shine through, because I don't have a plan. This is pretty random, so I'm probably sticking to 3 or 4 colors. Okay, let's turn this over and work on the other side. Again, we're just going to drop some gold. I'm gonna gold the things, some of the things. It's hard to decide, really. I'm really not doing this with a plan. There is no plan. No plan, only chaos. No plan, only nuts stuff. And this brush is in bad shape. But that is okay. I don't care. I use brushes that are in bad shape all the time. Not for precision work. Like, this isn't super precision. These are big enough that as long as I'm careful and don't push the brush down too far, we're good. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. What we just want is we want this to look decent. So I want it a little shimmery on the sides. I've decided I don't want to entirely cover these sides. Like, I like the translucent look enough that I want to kind of leave the translucent nature. But at the same time, there we go. At the same time, I want to make sure there is some coverage. So, there we go. Sometimes you gotta, if you are looking for a specific effect, you kind of gotta do trial and error. And sometimes the best thing you can do is come back and add more, which is probably what I'm gonna do. That I might do off camera if I do that, though. Okay. I just want it to glitter on here. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, when you're painting certain things like stained glass, it's never perfect anyway. Like, have you ever seen stained glass? Have you ever studied it? Have you ever made stained glass? I love making stained glass, by the way. It's one of my hobbies. But if you've ever made stained glass and you've paid attention to how it's made and what it looks like, you'll know that it's not perfect. Ever. Stained glass, like any other art, has flaws. Sometimes it has a lot of flaws, but those flaws add to its beauty. Like, study some stained glass in churches and stuff. It's never perfect, but it's always beautiful. Yeah. Move this a little more on here, because these are some little flowers I just want to hit with a little gold. I am going to come back with a really bright emerald green, but we're just doing this nice and quick. There we go. And we're going to come back with an emerald green and hit that, just because I think it'll look really nice. So we're going to come back and do some of the leaves with a little bit of emerald green. Otherwise, we have to let this dry. You have to let it dry, especially if you're painting on clear plastic, because it doesn't like to dry. So we're going to let that dry, then we'll come back. Okay, let's add a little green. Just a little hint of green here and there. Just a smidge. Just a smidge. Just a smidge. We're not doing too much. And yeah, I like this really bright green. I like the really bright colors right now. I don't know. 5 minutes ago, I wasn't really into the really bright colors, and now all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, give me some bright colors, man. These are like little vines. So now I want bright colors. It doesn't matter that much. This is going to be featured in probably what'll take about 4 minutes, and our campaign will probably hardly even see it. You'll probably hardly even see that. Alright, we're just going to leave that like that. I don't want to cover all the gold that I put on there. I want the green and the gold to kind of do their thing. So we'll be right back, and then I'll flip it over as soon as that dries, and we will work on the other side. Then we're getting really close to being done. I really don't want to put too many colors on here because the stained glass is the feature. Okay, that side's dry. Let's turn it over, get some more green, and just hit some of these spots with some green. We don't want to completely cover the gold we had earlier, right? We just want to hit some of it. We don't want to completely cover that gold. We want it to still look good. All right, when we come back, we're going to add a wash, because we don't really need more than that. This doesn't need to be a complicated piece. Again, it's scenery. How much are you going to use this? So pick your battles. Okay, time to do a wash. I'm using a sepia wash. It's not a thick wash. It is a wash designed to really sink into these grooves. I don't want it. I want more on the rock than I do here. But I still want some here. I do want it to sink into these grooves and kind of highlight them. Because otherwise you literally can't see the grooves. Like, this will help highlight those grooves. But I don't want to use a lighter colored wash. I deliberately want to use a darker colored wash. And this literally only takes a minute. So then what we'll do is we'll walk away. We'll walk away and come back in a couple hours when this side is dry, and we'll flip it over. So we'll be, for you, right back. For me, it'll be a couple hours. Okay, let's turn this guy over and get the other side. A lot of the rock is what we want. We love to soak the rock because we really want that rock to stand out. Okay, getting that rock all pretty matters. And then over the flowers, and we want to be able to sink into those grooves to make them stand out. And again, we're at the point where this only takes a couple of minutes. Like under a minute per step now. But we still have to let it dry. We'll come back and see how it looks once that layer of wash sinks into those grooves and shows us what it looks like. And there we go. An Elven Stained Glass. You can see through it, but it's also got some definition. This is from an Ancient Runes pack, so it's supposed to look a little worn, a little gross, but the stained glass is still intact. So do take a few minutes to paint your terrain and give it just a little bit of life. It doesn't have to take very long. The actual painting time on this piece did not take very long. I didn't worry too much about the details, but it just looks a little bit better than just leaving it plain. So jazz up your terrain. If you're only going to use it for one scene, don't spend a lot of time on it, but it just brings some life to your campaigns. That's about it for us today. I hope you'll be back with us next time. Bye!